Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new series that I am hosting along with my roommate, Matt Gibson. And basically the whole purpose of this series is to look at popular Christian films, or in some cases not so popular Christian films, and discuss ways they can be improved upon. So today we're talking about what is probably one of the greatest Christian movies ever made. I am of course referring to God's Not Dead.
Wait, what?
Yeah, God's Not Dead.
I thought we were talking about, wait. Wouldn't that be like Ben-Hur or something, actually?
Well, true, but if we were to talk about Ben-Hur, we'd have to like rant about the remake, and we really don't want to go into that right now. Yeah.
This is a Christian channel.
This is true. It's true. Yeah, gotta keep it.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it on a rated G level. Yeah. So, like I said, we're talking about God's Not Dead. This is a movie that was very well marketed, but didn't quite deliver on some of the promises that were made in the marketing. So we are going to just talk about ways it can be made better. So, Matt, just give some reasons why that movie didn't work in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your first problem is you have way too many characters that aren't that well connected, and you've got the girl that's the blogger for the New Left blog or something, and she's like gets cancer. You know, her character development is like just her bumper stickers, and and it's like I heart evolution, and you're like, who even has one of those?
Do those even exist?
Yeah, I know. I mean, why? So she's completely irrelevant in this movie. She's basically there for some filler. She's in there because she's the girlfriend of the guy who's the boyfriend of the girl who's the girlfriend of the professor.
Yeah.
So it's like, why do you need this? This is completely irrelevant. And she's in there so we can have some more reasons to include, the favorite Christian reality TV show stars, for like Dynasty.
Yeah.
So you can have all the Southern Christians.
Newsboys also
the
got their cameo because of
and personally, as a Southern Christian, I am a little offended that they think they have to put Dynasty in there to make me want to watch it. Yeah. That does not represent the South as I know it.
Yeah.
If it,
the redneck South maybe, but
it's just like seriously.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of characters that know to be that the boyfriend really isn't all that necessary.
The Muslims aren't really that necessary to the plot.
As they made it, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But as the movie itself was made, they're just there. It's just filler. It's just because they wanted to they tried to pull these emotional plugs at points that aren't really working. You kind of get the feel that they're like, we're going to make a movie about a guy who defends his faith in college from his professor. Marketing that as like an actual event that like based on inspired on true events, but I know Kevin McCreary in his review went through all of the cases they listed at the end of that. Mm-hmm. None of them were in any way like what they try to claim they were. They were all different. Like usually related to completely other issues, and so it's just false narrative. Like they're trying to say on the one hand this could actually happen, and this is happening. You're like, what? No, this is just very dishonest.
Yeah. That's the main issue with the movie. It's just there's too many main characters. It's not focused. It's not telling one narrative. It's almost an insult to the center storyline. Like there's not enough meat here for us to chew on. We need more filler.
That's kind of where I was going with that. Like they kind of we're gonna make this story about the guy that defends his faith in college, and then they realize we're too lazy to really flesh out the characters to make this a longer movie. Yeah. So instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a bunch of marginally related characters. Related in the sense that they're related familially or by relationships or whatever to the storyline. Nina is completely pointless except to keep showing us how much of a jerk Professor Radisson is, which we already figured out. Yeah. I mean, we already got that. And to give some more exposition so we can hear him talk about, and you don't get to drag a 2,000-year-old dead carpenter into this relationship. And it's just like, why? Oh, and, her boyfriend's just there to be another non-Christian jerk. Yeah. And the newsboys are there because why
They're
not?
The newsboys.
It's the marketing. Because you want to have that stirring, very, shall we say, not quite heretical, but very disturbing song at the end. In all seriousness, that song does tend to float to the side. It's like, we know that God's not dead because like he's living on the inside. It's like that's incredibly I hate to use the word Gnostic, but in a very stereotypical sense, it's Gnostic.
Yeah. Yeah, the theology of this movie is not that great either, which is another thing I'll talk about in an upcoming video, my top 10 Christian films with bad theology. God's Not Dead will be in that list, and so you'll hear a little more elaboration on some of the bad theology in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, you have where he defends, one of his primary defenses of God is free will. He's like, Professor's like, how do you, the question, how do you explain evil in a world with God? He's like, well, it's free will. And you're like, again, Kevin McCreary points out, you're using an argument that not even all Christians are going to agree on this particular doctrine, and you're resting your case on this. It's just a no-no. You don't do that.
Yeah. By the way, if you've never seen any of Kevin McCreary's videos, you should go check him out.
Yes.
Preferably after you finish watching this video. But yeah, definitely go check him out. I believe his channel is called Say Goodnight Kevin. So be sure to check him out when you're done watching this video.
Yes.
He's a great guy.
Yes. If you have an hour to waste, you can watch his review of God's Not Dead 2. And you save yourself some money going to the theater.
Yeah.
You haven't already spent it, so.
Yeah. And we'll probably even talk about God's Not Dead 2 on this show as well. So, so those are some of the main reasons God's Not Dead, the first one, didn't work quite so well.
I would also want to add the lack of any humanity. Like, there's just not any. Yeah. All the characters are cutouts, stereotype, whatever you want to call it. Professor Radiskin has absolutely nothing to him that distinguishes him to us, other than the fact that he's played by Kevin Sorbo. I mean, that's it. Josh Whedon is just like a cut and paste college kid who's a Christian coming out of your typical evangelical Southern Baptist, most likely background. He's got his girlfriend who is also that type of stereotype.
Yeah.
And and then you've got, I don't know, the Muslim characters are not as stereotypical, but they're just like, why are they in there in this particular movie, in this version of the movie?
Yeah.
In the way the movie actually played out.
Yeah.
You're left. We already talked about the leftist, the girl who blogs the New Left that has like the bumper stickers. And it's like, it's atrocious. It is truly atrocious.
Yeah. So those are the main problems with God's Not Dead. So as you saw in the title of this video, this is about what if God's Not Dead were good.
We believe in miracles.
Yeah, we believe it's possible for it to be good. So for this episode, Matt wrote up a new storyline for God's Not Dead that would hopefully improve on it. So do you want to just basically summarize the plot, and then we will talk about the exact storyline in a minute?
Sure. So the basic thing I did was I cut out the blogger girl, I cut out Dynasty, cut out Newsboys, cut out the jerk boyfriend, and sort of reimagined the character of Mina a little bit. So basically you cut out all the characters that weren't plot critical. I also cut out Josh Whedon's character, or rather I morphed his character a little bit with that of the Muslim character, so that we have, instead of... You kind of combine the two characters. Right, we have a character who is, for all appearances, a young Muslim man at a college who's in a class on philosophy that is dealing with, the questions of the existence of God, and, unlike in the movie, we're not going to have this whole where we're not going to hear any discussion, sign your name, piece of paper, because we wanted to show Professor Rasmussen was the type who likes to debate his students so that he can prove them wrong. Yeah. He's more of that kind of, he doesn't want them leaving this class with any questions. Yeah. So that's kind of more the context in which this happens. But I guess you would call it, the catch being that our newly imagined college student is not, he's a Christian, but he keeps that a secret because he lives in a very Islamic very family. Faithful, very devout Islamic family, so that he's afraid to come out and let them know that he's a Christian, but he also doesn't want to in class defend Islam because he doesn't believe in it. but he also can't really defend his true faith, because if he does, it's going to get around, it's going to get back to his folks. Yeah. So you kind of have a real drama there, which you don't have in the original.
Yeah.
Why is there anything dramatic about a guy who's this is literally his first week of college? You can drop this class, pick up another one. I mean, believe me, I did that this semester. I dropped a class because it just wasn't going to work for me. Obviously, it wasn't the same reasons it wasn't going to work for me, but it wasn't going to work for me, so I dropped it, picked up another class, no problem.
Yeah.
And it's just a complete... The only conflict is because he makes it a conflict, because he makes it sort of a... It's really egotistical, like, I think God needs someone to defend him.
Yeah. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I recall correctly from when you were telling me about why you decided to morph those two characters together, the Muslim character and the student, the reason why you decided to do that was because both of us really liked the concept of a Muslim father throwing their child out over their faith.
Yeah, that was...
And so we thought that was pretty well done in the movie. It just didn't have as much emotion to it because she wasn't the focus of the movie. So we thought we would tweak the plot so that she would... that character would be the focus of the movie.
I think it was interesting, Kevin McCreary story said, this is a really sad scene and I'm not crying.
Yeah.
Because it's like it should be, but there's nothing that has really brought me to have any connection to this character, to this situation. You know, but even with a little bit you have, you understand this is a sad situation in the original, and it's really the more interesting part. I mean, she's actually suffering for her faith. She's not just going to have a lower GPA for the semester.
Right.
She literally just got kicked out of her home, and that's why
there's some actual stakes to it.
Angers me a little bit at the end when she turns to him. It's like she's learned a lesson about standing up for her faith from Josh Whedon's character.
Yeah, it's like, what?
If anything, she has really stood up for her faith, and he hasn't. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just basically stood for 3 weeks, and just to defend his college GPA, really.
Yeah.
And it's just... The movie wants you to forget that, because it wants to try to emotionally make you think this is like, oh, this is so beautiful. They're all coming together at the end of the Newsboys concert, and it's, you know... And it's not, though. It's just an emotional trip. It's trying to make you ignore the facts that are going on in the story that just don't add up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so... With all that being said, we will now proceed to explain the new storyline of our improved God's Not Dead.
Woohoo! Okay, so the movie opens to show a scene from South Sudan, or it could be some other African location. So we open with a sunrise shot, and suddenly we hear gunshots, and you fade, and you pan to an attack on a small missionary medical outpost.
The missionaries are led out into an opening and told to run. Before they get very far, the attackers shoot them in the back. The story then cuts to 3 men. 2 of them are Americans and the other one is a native pastor. Right? They are riding in a Jeep on their way to the outpost.
Okay, so they arrive at the scene, and one of them, this is the guy we're later going to know as Professor Radisson, he finds the body of his fiancée, and she's dead. And as we see his friends, they're trying to comfort him as he's sitting there with her, and he stares off confusion and anger and sorrow at the remains of the church from the outpost.
The movie then cuts forward 10 years to an unnamed college in America. The semester is starting and we see Professor Radisson entering his classroom.
At this point, you're introduced to the character of Nadir, and I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly, who comes from an Arabic family and professes Islam. We meet his family, consisting of his father, mother, and little sister, and we see some family interaction, get to know them. So introduce us more to Nadir and his character.
We also follow the character of Dave, who is Professor Radisson's old friend and a minister, though they have not spoken in years, especially since Radisson has rejected the Christian faith.
Dave is at the airport meeting the African pastor that we met earlier in the opening scene. That was one he worked with during his time in Sudan. And they relive old times, and this is where through their conversation, we first learned that Radisson has become an atheist or agnostic, something kind of in between that. Just, this is where we learn that he's rejected the Christian faith.
We cut to the classroom where Professor Radisson is presenting arguments for and against the existence of God. He then asks if there are any dissenting opinions. Nadir, who is the only student marked down as a Muslim, or a theist for that matter.
I mean, it's a small evening class of about 25.
A few of the other students know that Nadir is a theist and expect him to answer, but he doesn't.
Afterwards, the Chinese foreign exchange student that we met in the first movie, he's still in this one, ask him why does he not defend the Islamic faith, but Nadir does not answer him fully. Just kind of gives some vague excuses about it.
After this, Nadir's father discovers that his son did not defend Islam in class and gets angry at the dinner table, and there's a confrontation. After this, Nadir finally promises,
"Very well, Father. I will do what you ask. I will defend my faith."
We now cut to Radisson, who is getting ready for a date with his fiancée, Mina. They go to a bowling alley, and Radisson complains about the lack of spine amongst his students, and he's all like,
"I want them to challenge me so I can show them they're wrong."
It turns out that Pastor Dave and his friend from Africa also decided to come bowling, and there is only one lane open right next to the professor and his girlfriend, and this results in an awkward reunion.
We then cut to Nadir studying in his room, and we see his little sister is spying on him. And the next week, Nadir stands for his faith, and just as he begins to deliver his defense, we see his father come in to the back of the room, but Nadir doesn't know his father is there.
And of course, Nadir does not defend Islam, and instead presents a case for Christianity based on his own life. He believes that man finds meaning as an image bearer of God, and that only Christ can bring healing to a hurting world.
Now, the professor admires the sentiment, and he's like, "Oh, okay, that's nice." But then he brings a few counterpoints and just crushes the argument for all intents and purposes in the class, and he just proceeds on with whatever they're going to talk about next. However, Nadir's father, we see in the back, is angry and awaits his son's return at home.
The pastor and his friend are getting ready to leave for Vespers at Dave's church. It's a beautiful fall evening, and they decide to walk instead of drive.
Meanwhile, Nadir is confronted by his father and discovers that his little sister has actually been reading his books and has converted to Christianity as well as, And in a rage, his father throws him out of the house, and just tells him, "Get out of here." This is kind of what you have in the original, but now you have a different character.
Nadir's sister, who is close to Nadir, is of course traumatized by all of this and tries to run after Nadir, but her father brings her back inside.
So Nadir stops to sleep under a bridge, and he is found by his pastor, Dave. And he offers him a place to stay until he can get on his feet. So Nadir, he has to drop college, and he starts working.
At this point in the movie, we find out that Nadir and his sister have been meeting in secret so that Nadir can disciple his sister in the Christian faith. He notices bruises on her. He tries to find out if their father has abused her. However, he becomes concerned when she shows up with a black eye and a cut, even though she insists that their father had nothing to do with the injuries.
Nadir decides to confront his father and comes home that evening with this intention. And knowing she continues to hold to the Christian faith, their father is determined to drive the infidelity out of her.
When Nadir finds this out, he, in a rage, strikes his father and then realizes that he was wrong to do that and falls to his knees begging for forgiveness. The father wants to forgive but can't and orders his son to leave.
Nadir only promises to leave if he can take his sister somewhere safe, but his father of course refuses. He tries to take her anyway, but his father tries to slug him, and then he grabs a knife off the kitchen table.
Nadir, who's now in danger, yells for his sister to go get help as he wrestles with his father. She stops the first car she sees, which happens to be occupied by Professor Radisson and Mina.
Professor Radisson gets out, telling Mina to call the police, and then he goes inside, and there's a struggle in which the father attempts to stab Professor Radisson because he believes, very irrationally, that Professor Radisson is the reason his son has rejected Islam and become a Christian. He's attempting to stab the professor with the knife, but Nadir steps in to stop this, and he gets the knife in his gut.
Nadir's father, realizing what he has done, breaks down in tears. The police arrive, an ambulance takes Nadir to the hospital, and the sister is taken into protective custody.
Radisson and Pastor Dave then meet in the hospital as they both have come to check on Nadir. Radisson, of course, he admires the conviction of the young dying man, but does not see this, of course, as reason to believe again. But he does have an increased admiration for Nadir at this point.
Dave and Professor Radisson are informed that Nadir is dying, and Dave goes in and administers last rites to him. Radisson, meanwhile, watches respectfully.
The final scene takes place at the graveside funeral for Nadir, where after the ceremony ends, we see the professor standing in front of the new grave.
Dave comes over to Radisson, places his hand on Radisson's shoulder silently, and then after a few seconds, leaves without saying a word. The professor leaves as well, and the credits roll. Alright, well that was our version of God's Not Dead. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and if you liked that, you thought it was good, you have some good ideas, you like what we're doing with this, we do have more that we're working on. Fireproof has already been rewritten. It's just doing some post-editing now. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, get this ball rolling. We would love for this to reach a lot of people. Who knows, maybe even Pureflix will see it and they'll repent of their wicked ways when it comes to the cinema and realize that there's more to making movies than just being preachy and getting a lot of money.
Yeah, like you said, please do subscribe to the channel. I also, like I said, have ranking videos that I'm working on. I have, like I mentioned earlier, top 10 Christian films with bad theology I'm working on. Hopefully that'll be up by the end of the week. So if you want to see more of that sort of thing, please subscribe. You can do that by clicking right here. Also, I have a blog where I do movie reviews and just opinion pieces about stuff related to movies. You can find a link to that in the description down below. Got some cool stuff going on over there, so do check that out. Alright, I think that's all we have to say for this one. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Right. Remember to text people that God's not dead.